And we are live. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC Macau. So, real quick, we're going to recap last week because it was a good week and I want to talk about it. It was a great card at UFC 309. And then we'll jump right into this card because we do have 14 fights to break down. I wasn't able to tape all of them. I taped most of them, and I'll let you guys know when we get to the fights that I haven't taped yet and that I need to do more research on. And then if you still want my picks, my breakdowns, my predictions, my notes, it's all on my free Discord, link in the description of this video. And obviously, I'll also put up my YouTube shorts as always, so you'll get the 1-minute breakdowns. I do have to put this out there. There's people on my shorts now saying that I'm giving out bets and then betting the opposite because, for example, on my Mickey Gall short, I picked Mickey Gall and then I bet Ramiz Brahima. The picks and bets are two different things, okay? If this is your first time hearing this, maybe look it up on YouTube. There are people much smarter than me who can explain this much better, but I'll do my best. There's a difference. I can pick a guy, but not be comfortable with the line. And then if the line blows out the other way and I feel like there's value, that's why I'll bet somebody who I picked against. It happens. I did it twice last week and profited on both. Viviane Araujo and Ramiz. Those are two spots that I bet on, even though I thought the other side would win, and I was able to cash those tickets. So if you are only getting to my channel now and you saw my shorts and you're confused, that is why. That is the difference. And if you need to learn more, look it up on YouTube. Much smarter people out there than me who can explain it better than I can. Let's go over the results, though. So we were up 8.64 units tracked. We had Araujo moneyline plus 225 for 1 unit. We had Marcus McGee minus 113, 2.3 units. We lost on Roberto Romero at plus 700, a corner unit play. Wasn't a bad bet, I don't think. Tybura minus 115, 1.15 units to win 1. Ramiz plus 150, 1 unit. Eduardo Mora plus 121 unit. And then we lost on Basil Hafez. That was a pretty bad bet. I thought there would be value on him, but he kind of got cooked. And then even though one judge had him winning and one judge had it tied. So realistically, if he came out hot in round 3 and didn't get knocked out, I could have still won that bet, but I definitely didn't deserve it, and it was a bad bet. Jones money line plus nickel KO or decision was my only parlay. That cashed at minus 134 to win 1 unit. I played Roofy round 3 decision at plus 110. That cashed. And the other two props were Araujo round 3 and Araujo round 3 knockout. Weren't really close, but worth a sprinkle. And yeah, so it was a great week. Hit a lotto parlay too. Don't really do those often, so that was nice. And hoping to keep it going into this week. Right now, I only have 2 bets on this card. I intend on keeping it small. I do think I'll add a few more spots, but I don't think it's going to be too many more. And we can jump right into the card. So first fight of the night, we've got Maheshate Hayisaer versus Nikolas Motta. Maheshate, he's 10-3-0, 24 years old. He's going to be 6 feet tall with a 71.5-inch reach. On the other side, Motta, 14-5-0. He's 31, so he's going to be 7 years older, going to be 3 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Daz saying he came here to hear me pronounce Tumendemberel. I feel like I have it down pretty well, but I am going to be giving him a nickname on the show. And my guy Michael B. Gamblin, what's up, brother? Saying Tybura bags indeed. And Araujo round 3 TK was close. I'll be completely honest. I wasn't really paying attention by the 3rd round. I kind of thought Araujo was down, so I was just not paying attention. And then she won, so that was cool. But yeah, back to this fight. So I don't like the line. I guess I like Maheshate, younger guy. He's still improving. He's only 24 years old. He's got 13 fights already, been in the UFC for a couple fights. I think he's a better striker at range. He's a little bit more clean. He's got more tools. He mixes it up better, goes to the body a little bit more. Motta's pretty one-dimensional. He's a striker. Everything's got a hook to it. Everything is really wounded up. He's got a lot of power. He goes to the body decently too, but he doesn't really do much other outside of the hands. Not a lot of kicks, not a lot of stuff like that. So, and neither guy's really going to grapple. Neither guy is a great wrestler. Neither guy has great takedown defense. So I don't really expect this to go to the ground. If anyone did bring it there, I lean it being Maheshate, but I don't think he's going to, and I don't think Motta's going to either. So, yeah, Maheshate probably just outstrikes him for 15 minutes. He might knock out Motta. Motta's a little bit chinny, and Maheshate does hit really hard. Knocked out Steve Garcia real clean. His last performance wasn't the best against Benitez, but like Benitez is a vet. It's not the worst thing ever to have a pretty close fight where they both threw a lot of significant strikes and landed a lot. Wasn't the best look because Benitez is kind of washed, but I wouldn't say it was the worst look either. And then with Motta, people liked him. People liked this guy until the Ogden fight. It was only after the Ogden fight that people were kind of low on Motta and shitting on him. And the Tom Nolan fight happened. He was like plus 300 or something. I had Nolan there like minus 172 on an early line, something like that. And even that was a bad bet. That was a terrible bet. And Motta was undervalued. And I feel like he might be undervalued here as well because I just don't think either guy's really going to do anything to really stand out that much. Like I said, I think Maheshate will land more. Both guys have power, so I can't really tell you who will land the bigger shots. I think they'll both land big shots, and both guys could knock the other out. We've seen Maheshate hurt. We've seen Motta hurt and knocked out. So, yeah, the pick is Maheshate. There's probably some value on Motta. I do think he can keep this close and competitive. Like I said, it's probably standing. The striking's close. Maheshate just a little bit better output and mixes it up a little bit more. And we can move on. Next up, we've got Long Xiao versus Quang Li. Long Xiao, he's 26, 9-0. He's going to be 26 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. Even though I'm pretty sure his reach is 66 inches, apparently, according to, I think it was Road to UFC, tail of the tape. And then Quang Li, 8-1-0. He's 33, so he's going to be, let me do some math, 7 years older. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have probably a 4-inch reach advantage if Long really does only have a 66-inch reach. So this fight's really weird. I don't have a great read at all on this fight. I'll be completely honest. With Quang Li, he's solid. He's solid. Like on the regionals, he was pretty good. He's a good striker. His takedown defense is decent. His offensive wrestling is also decent, but it's not really something he goes to often. People are saying like he's going to go for takedowns now just because he got 2 takedowns in the Gutierrez fight. He doesn't really grapple all that much, so I don't really expect him to try to grapple Long, especially because Long has good takedown defense. Long is a good offensive wrestler, and I think Long's got the better jiu-jitsu too out of the two of them. I think he's the better grappler, so I don't really expect Li to grapple. And on the feet, I think that Li is I guess he's cleaner. I think Lee's a cleaner striker, and I think he hits harder. So I'll give him like a slight edge in that regard. But Long will throw more. He just does more on the feet. He's more active. His output is much higher. Against Gutierrez, Quang Li had very low output. That I guess you can give him a pass. Gutierrez is a high level fighter. That was a big step up on short notice. Can't really blame him too much. And he ate like 30 something leg kicks. But even on the regionals, like his output was never that good. He's often a counter striker. He's not leading often, and he's kind of just relying on landing big shots or having big moments to win the fights. So just not crazy about him right now. I need to see more out of Quang Li, and he's not like a young buck. He's 33 years old. He just got to the UFC, so he's only got a few fights to really make this work. And then on the Long side, I'm not super high on him either. Like I said, he'll do a lot more on the feet, but his striking's not that good. He's very, very hittable. He's pretty durable, so I expect him to be able to take a shot, but Quang Li does hit really hard, so I wouldn't be shocked at all if he knocked Long out. And then with the grappling, I do give Long the grappling advantage. I've been pretty surprised at some of the takes this week of saying that Quang's going to be the one who grapples because I don't see that. I think that it's Long who can grapple here, who might mix it in, and I think that overall it makes sense to make him a favorite because, A, he's going to do more on the feet. He's not going to be completely outmatched in the striking. Like Quang is a little bit cleaner, a little bit more technical, a little bit more put together, but it's not like a huge difference, not a huge edge in my opinion. And then Long's going to have the better grappling too. So did I say that already? I don't think so. But anyways, I'll pick Long. I don't want to bet him at chalk though. If the line really blows out, I can get behind a Quang Li bet possibly because I do think he's relatively talented and I do think he's a powerful striker and his counter grappling is decent enough. And Long doesn't always push the issue with the grappling. It's hit or miss with him. So I could see a world where Long comes out, doesn't grapple. We're on the feet. Long does more, but because he strikes so wide and he's so hittable, Quang is just landing the nicer, cleaner shots, and he's hurting him and landing the bigger shots. So it's dog or pass, and we can move on because for now the line hasn't really budged much. It's been, what is it? Let's see. Yeah, minus 122. I feel like it's been around there for pretty much the whole week. Well, it's only Tuesday, but so far. And then plus 102 on Quang Lee. If they give me like plus 145 Quang Lee, I could probably get behind it, maybe a little bit higher. I would need to sit down with my good old odds converter and pump out the numbers, but that's where my mind is at. And we can move on to a really fun fight. All right. So here we have Loney Kavanagh versus Jose Ochoa. Kavanagh, he's 7-0 undefeated. He's 25 years old, 5'4", and we don't have his reach. On the other side with Ochoa, he's going to be 7-0 undefeated. He's 23, so he's 2 years younger, and he's going to be 3 inches taller. So I don't understand this line at all. I mean, I understand it based on what I think is happening. What I think is happening is just a matter of recency bias because people just saw Kavanagh get that really nice knockout against Antoine Ho on the Contender Series, and a mixture of that with people just don't know Ochoa. They don't know him. They know Kavanagh from the brief stint they saw him on the Contender Series, and there you go, minus 300. I think that's it because I don't really understand how you can tape this. Like, you can tape this and be like, okay, Kavanagh's going to win. I'm good. I'm not going to bet it. But I don't really see how you tape this and say, yes, Kavanagh minus 350 is value. That I can't understand because Ochoa is really good in his own right. And people might not be looking yet. Maybe it's just too early in the week. I don't know. And I also did want to clarify, a lot of people are kind of saying this week, Ochoa pulled out of his Contender Series fight for some reason and just got handed a UFC. That's not at all what happened. He actually got pulled from the Contender Series by the UFC to make this fight. Why? I can't really tell you. I don't know. I'm not a matchmaker. Maybe they have something in mind here, but for me personally, to put two young prospects who are 25 and 23 years old, 7-0, both of them, why would you make their first UFC fight against each other? It'll be a banger, that's for sure. It's going to be a sick fight, but just business-wise, I feel like it doesn't make a ton of sense because then one of them's going to lose and you have to rebuild them. And yeah, sure, the other one gets a good win, but you could have just given him someone different who doesn't have as much potential, to build him up like they do with some other guys. But yeah, they made the fight and I won't complain about it. It doesn't make sense, but it's a really sick fight. So breaking it down, Kavanagh is really well-rounded. He's good everywhere. He can strike. Striking is his main thing. He's a great striker. He's really clean. His output is solid. His combinations are nice. He's good at creating angles. He's very, very good on the feet. And then his grappling is pretty good too. It's not his main weapon, but he can get takedowns. He's not bad with it. And then on the Ochoa side, there's not a ton of tape on the guy, but from the tape that we do have, like, he's a really solid fighter. His striking is clean, mixes it up well, mixes targets really nicely. He trains out of shoot box, and he's got the shoot box style. Defense isn't the best, and Kavanagh can certainly take advantage. And his takedown defense is pretty good, but I could see Kavanagh mixing in some takedowns. But on the feet, I think Ochoa might hit just as hard as Kavanagh, maybe harder. We won't really know. But I think both guys have power, and I think Ochoa is definitely a power threat. I think the output might be on the Ochoa side because he's pretty active on the feet. And like I said, he just mixes it up really well. So I wouldn't be shocked if he caught Kavanagh with something. I wouldn't be shocked if Kavanagh caught him with something. But Kavanagh's minus 350 or so, and Ochoa's like plus 280. So it's a pretty easy click for me. You're getting a guy in Ochoa who is also a really good prospect, who also has a really high ceiling, who's only 23 years old, improving fight to fight to fight, and already showing a ton of potential. And you're getting him at almost plus 300. I think it might still be plus 300 on a few books. That's the line I did play. I played plus 300 on Caesars for a unit. And I did get an early line on Ochoa as well. I think like plus 385 or plus 375, but I did not track that because it was only on Bet Online at the time. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think Kavanagh probably wins. He's a little bit more put together and a little bit more well-rounded, but I don't think anything outside of like 65% makes sense. This is just too much because Ochoa is also very good in his own right. Let me catch up with the chat though. Let's see. Michael B. Gamblin saying 2-3 Ochoa, Santa comes early. Okay. I haven't even looked at those odds because Kavanagh's durable, man. Ochoa's dangerous, and maybe he could catch Kavanagh with something, like I said earlier, but I tend to think that he's probably not going to knock him out. Damn, this thing is still adjusting its volume on its own. Is my audio okay, guys? Could you guys let me know? Is it too quiet, too loud, cutting out? Because my mic's been giving me issues. Let's see. Ochoa round 3 plus 16, 2 plus 11. It's not bad. I don't really think he finishes Kavanagh, so I wouldn't bet it, but don't hate it. My guy Tyler, better late than never, my brother. MMA Jesus, thank you for tuning in, my guy. Let's see. Been looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one. Sounds like plenty of folks are conveniently skipping their breakdowns for this card. Yeah, a lot of people just don't want to tape this card, I think, because it's so many unknowns. And I feel that most people, most fans are not watching Road to UFC, especially because the UFC has been promoting Power Slap like relentlessly. But every time Road to UFC is happening, even like hardcore fans like myself don't even know until we're like a week out from the card. So I think that's why people just aren't crazy about breaking down and taping this card, but it's honestly pretty fun. It's a solid card. I don't think it's that bad. Audio seems fine. All right, beautiful. Let's move on to the next one. Kavanagh's the pick, but I did bet Ochoa dogger pass. All right, next up, we've got Carlos Hernandez and the hardest name to pronounce this week, Nyamjargal Tumendemberel, but I'm going to call him Tumi because I think it's a good nickname. Carlos Hernandez is 9-4-0. He's 31 years old, 5'8" with a 67-inch reach. Tumi, 8-0, undefeated. He's going to be 26 years old, so he's 5 years younger, 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 4-inch reach advantage. So Tumi he's an interesting guy. First of all, we're going to talk aura. My guy has aura. If you have not checked out his Instagram yet, please do yourself a favor and go pull up his Instagram because this dude is fresh. He's a fresh guy. And yeah, so in terms of the actual fight, you look at Tumi, and I remember him from the Kiram fight. I taped that fight, and I believe I bet Kiram there. And honestly felt like he might have won that fight. But that fight was just not a great look for Tumi. I mean, Kiram, if you guys aren't familiar, is a pure Muay Thai guy. Like, that is it. He's a Muay Thai guy, no grappling whatsoever. He was smoking cigarettes before his fights, before Carlos Prates made it cool. And he got like 6 takedowns against Tumi, took him down. Tumi was active off his back, but like couldn't really get up. So his counter grappling is weak. His takedown defense is weak. His offensive wrestling is okay. It's not bad. He's a decent wrestler. Can get really overexcited sometimes. Like when he's taking the back, he'll fall off pretty much every single time. But he's decent with it. And the striking, the striking's interesting. It seems like he trains with Trevor Peak at least a little bit because he does. Excuse me. Choked on myself there. His striking is interesting. Like I said, Trevor Peak school. I was watching him. I think it was the Kiram fight. And dude just jumps in the air, flying hammer fist. And I was just like, okay. I wasn't familiar with your game. And like he mixes it up pretty nice. Like in the Deiveson fight, he came out hot and he mixed up the targets real quick. He just unleashed on the guy. He's a solid striker, but he gets so sloppy, starts winging his shots. Like in the Kiram fight, whenever they're on the feet, round 2, 3, just full on swinging from the hip like this, overhands. He's really, really sloppy, but he's super exciting. He's really aggressive. He's an absolute dog. He will fight for your money. And he's still relatively young. He's 26, so he's probably going to be improving, but he's not at a major camp, so I don't know how major those improvements are going to be. And I can't just assume he got that much better on the ground because it was a pretty bad showing against Kiram there in the grappling. So that's where I'm at with him. And then Hernandez, he's a solid fighter. He's nothing spectacular. He's very meat and potatoes, but not in a bad way. He sticks to the basics and it works for him. I think he's the cleaner striker for sure. He's a better boxer. His output, Tumi throws a lot too. I just don't know if Tumi could do it for 3 rounds. He didn't throw that much against Kiram. I think he landed like 50-something significant strikes, but there was a lot of grappling there. If they were on the feet the whole time, he'd probably be throwing up decent numbers. I would guess around 70, 80 significant strikes. So I'd say he has good output, but I think he might slow down a bit as well. And Hernandez, I just trust to throw more, and I think he'll be the cleaner striker. The power I'll give to Tumi. I think he'll win the bigger moments, but I think overall in the striking, I do lean Hernandez. And then all that aside, I think if Hernandez grapples early and often, he can absolutely wash Toomey. Unfortunately, he is a solid wrestler. He does have good ground and pound. We saw in the Bondar fight. That was nice, even though they took that finish away from him. And he's not a great finisher most of the time. He only has 4 sub wins and he has 0 knockout wins because they took away the Dennis Bondar one. But because I think there's such a significant edge for him on the ground, I do think the finish might be there for him. If he's not able to take down Toomey and if he's not able to hold him down, this is going to be a close fight. I don't think that Carlos can do enough on the feet to really stand out. I know I said he throws more and he's cleaner, but Toomey's just going to be in his face. He's going to probably give the better optics to the judges. He's going to land the bigger shots. He hits so hard. It's clear that he hits real hard. And Hernandez could be chinned. So, yeah, Hernandez is the pick. It's Toomey or pass. I want to do it. I want to play him, but I feel like part of the reason I want to play him is just because I like him and I think he's fun. And that's not a reason to bet people. So for now, I'm just going to sit on the side and watch. If they force my hand like they did with Ramiz, I won't complain. Like if they give me like plus 200, I'm not saying no. But right now, the bets I am looking at, I kind of like fight doesn't go the distance because I think Toomey's very live for a knockout here, especially early. And I think that Hernandez, if I'm right about what I'm seeing with the ground difference, the difference in the ground game, then I think that Hernandez could 100% finish him on the ground. If I'm correct with what I'm seeing, I do think he can finish Toomey on the mat. So the under at plus money makes a lot of sense for me. And then I also kind of like Toomey round 1 knockout. On Bet Online, it's like plus 1,300. So I'm assuming domestics will probably do like, I don't know, plus 15, 16, 17. You might see a rogue like 1,800 or plus 2,000 even. So I'll be looking out for those. And then Carlos Hernandez round 3, knockout or just round 3. I think that's another way to do it because Toomey does slow down really hard. And I wouldn't be shocked if Carlos can get him out of there in the 3rd round. What I lean ground and pound, but I wouldn't be shocked by a sub either. So round 3 TKO, KO prop could be good, but round 3 is probably a little bit safer with Carlos. But all 3 of those plays are things I'm considering. And then if they really push the line in on Carlos, then I'll maybe get involved on Toomey. And we can move on, but let me catch up with the chat. Yeah, he's relentless. I love his style. Glad I caught you live. How many fights have you missed? You've missed 3, British gamer. But I'll give you my picks real quick. Maheshate, but dogger pass. Long Xiao, but dogger pass. And Loner Kavanagh, but dogger pass. I'm sorry, but it's what we're being dealt this week. Let's see. Toomey KO plus 1,800 opener was a treat. Yeah, that's great. I did not get that. I saw plus 650, but I'm going to wait a little bit and see if I can maybe get a better line on that too. Carlos does not hit hard. No, he doesn't. He has 0 knockout wins for a reason, but I do think he can get the TKO. Big Bird, my guy. What's good, brother? Why does the thumbnail look like you did? I don't make my thumbnails anymore. I have the good folks at Fan Arch helping me out, but I did give them the pictures. I didn't pick the picture. They just made it and they gave it to me. And I was like, well, I look crazy, but I'm a little crazy, so that's okay. And then chest tattoo for the win says there will be blood. Yeah, I mean, like I said, people talk about aura. They say Diego Lopez has aura. They say Alex Pereira has aura. Toomey has the real aura. And if you don't believe me, go look on his Instagram. Should I just pull it up here? No, that's so much work. But check out his Instagram. Okay, so next up, we got Xiaocan Feng versus Ming. Feng is 10-2-0, 22 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. Ming 16-5-0. She's 30. She's 8 years older, 5 inches shorter, and she's going to be at a 6-inch reach disadvantage. So I said in the beginning of the show, I didn't get to tape all the fights, and this is one of the fights that I did not get to tape all that much. And for me, like, I'll tell you guys the little that I remember off the top of my head. So Feng, she's a pretty good prospect from what I remember. She's a very good striker. She's got a decent amount of power. She's got some decent subs off her back, but her takedown defense, from what I remember, is terrible. The girl she fought on the road to UFC, Miki Matono, she had fought her on the regionals too. I think about here. Yeah. And she was losing that fight. Getting taken down. And then she got the armbar and was able to win, but it wasn't really that great. And then in this fight, I don't remember this one as well. I need to tape it, but I do remember her getting taken down too. So I remember that just being a hole in her game. And then with Ming, she comes from a wrestling background, I think, pretty sure, at least according to herself and her gym, trying to catch wrestling. But then on the road to UFC, she's the one getting taken down in both her fights. And I didn't really see a ton of wrestling from her. I think like one attempt per fight from her. So I don't know if I can depend on her to wrestle. I need to really go back and tape because look, on the feet, Ming she's not as good at all, and she doesn't have much power, but I don't think she's that bad either, honestly. I don't think she's that bad of a striker, and if I go back in the tape and I see that she's a really good wrestler, might be worth taking a shot because the line is pretty wide. It's minus 340 Feng, plus 265 Ming Shi. With a big grappling hole on the Feng side, maybe I can make an argument for Ming Shi, but I would have to tape her first and see if she actually wrestles or if that's not true. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. I had my Heath Ledger moment. How so? How so, Tyler? 6 submission wings for Ming could be enough. Yeah. Like I said, British Gamer, I got to tape it still. But just from what I remember off the top of the dome, Feng is a good prospect, and I think she has a high ceiling, but I remember the hole in the grappling being pretty big. And if Ming Shi is a good grappler, like I said, I need to go look, then I think she can make this a competitive fight. Because on the feet, I favor Feng. She's definitely cleaner, definitely hits harder. But I don't think Ming Shi's that bad. I really don't. So, yeah. And Feng is also very, like, not green. She has a lot of experience for a 22-year-old, but she's 22, and I'm usually kind of hesitant at like laying chalk on a really young fighter because they make mistakes. But Feng is a pick for now. Like I said, got to tape a bit more. All right, next up, we've got, I believe this is our first tournament championship bout. This is for flyweight. We have Kiru Sahota versus Hoon Choi. Sahota 12-2-0. He's 29. He's 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. Choi on the other side, 8-0 undefeated. He's 25, so he's 4 years younger. Going to be 5 inches shorter, and he's giving up, oh boy, 7 inches in reach. So this is another weird fight. I'll start with Choi, the favorite. Choi is solid. He's solid. He's still young, and I think that he's very, very green, and he still has to improve, but he's a good fighter. He's a solid striker. Output could be a little bit better. Some more urgency would be nice, but he does seem to have a good amount of power. Combinations are nice, mixes up targets pretty well. And the grappling's pretty good too. I believe he's a judo black belt, if I'm not mistaken. And the throws are pretty nice, but with a guy like Sahota, who's so tall and so lanky, I just don't know how much that's going to work. I did judo / sambo for like, I don't know, 2 years. I didn't compete. I was young. I was like 12, 13 years old. But I remember like it's not that easy to throw the taller guys. And when I wrestled, I know I hated wrestling tall guys. I did not like it at all. They would just tripod and make my life difficult. So I was not a fan. But yeah, I don't know how much those throws are going to work for Choi against Sahota. Maybe they can work if they're really grinding against the cage and he just steps in and throws them. Could work. Trips could be there, though, because Sahota's super lanky. And I've seen him go for like a single. That could be there, too. Sahota doesn't have the best takedown defense. Certainly not. He can be taken down. On the feet, Sahota's pretty nice. Honestly, I think he's pretty good. He's good at maintaining range. He's kind of good at maintaining range. He's good at using the reach. The kicks are really good. He targets the body really well. I like the body kicks a lot. I think that's going to be a great weapon against Choi because Choi starts slow. But if you go to the body really hard and start to slow him down, you might never give him the opportunity to speed it up because he gets much better in the third round. He's kind of like a Petr Yan kind of fighter in that he just starts really slow, needs to get his reads, and then he's able to go off. But Sahota could take advantage of that. He's a bit more active, throws a bit more. His hands are pretty good too. Nice 1-2s, nice jab. He's a good striker, but I don't know why. I mean, it's probably because he's lanky. He just feels kind of like, what's the word? Fragile, flimsy a little bit. I don't know. He seems like one big shot and he's going to go out, but that's not really true. You know, you watch him, he gets hurt. He gets hurt in multiple fights. I think he got hurt in his second to last, his first road to UFC fight. So his second to last fight, he got hurt, but he recovered quickly. And against Sean Da Silva on Cage Warriors, Sean was ripping off on him. He landed so many big shots before the ref finally called it. And Sahota didn't go out. The ref just called the fight. But that's why I'm saying, like, he looks kind of fragile and he seems to have a bit of a chin issue, but he also, at the same time, he seems pretty durable. So I don't really know if I have a great read on his chin. But yeah, putting it all together, I'll give the moment winning to Choi, power to Choi, grappling to Choi, and then I'll give the striking and activity to Sahota. Both guys have decent cardio. I don't really worry about either guy gassing out. I've been back and forth with this fight nonstop so far, but I think I'm still picking Choi to win. It's dog or pass, but at this point, the line's pretty much pick 'em. I would have wanted a bit of a better number on Sahota just because, like I said, I get this flimsy vibe from him, and I'm worried that Choi's going to land a few big shots because he does hit hard and just knock him out. And there's also the grappling upside for Choi. He doesn't really use it, and I don't know if it's going to be that prominent in this fight. But if he does choose to go there and really chases it, he might have a pretty good big advantage there. So I'll pick Choi, but it's certainly dog or pass. Right now, the line is -114 Choi, -106 Sahota. So you're not even getting plus money on the Sahota side anymore. So I can't really get behind that. And then, honestly, if they flip the line, if they flip it completely, like Choi to plus 105, plus 115, I would play Choi because I see this as pretty much 50-50, slightly in Choi. And then if you're going to give me him as the underdog, I'll probably play him. I'd be more willing to play him than Sahota, I think. But at the same time, Sahota's going to be so big. He's going to be so much bigger than him. And he looked pretty solid in his most recent fight in the semifinals of the road to UFC. But again, at the same time, he was also fighting a guy who was not very good and very, very one-dimensional. He was a very one-dimensional wrestler with no power threat on the feet at all. So Sahota was kind of able to just show out in that fight, and I don't think he's really going to have that against Choi. So yeah, long story short, I'll pick Choi. And I would say dog or pass, but Sahota's not even the dog anymore. So we'll just leave it at that. And if they flip the line completely, I'll play Choi, I think. Let's see what we got here going on. Let's see. Sahota fighting at a Manchester top team, which is a good positive. Yeah. It's a good camp. He's definitely at the better camp out of the two of them, I think. But they tend to still not have good takedown defense there, unfortunately, even though it's a great gym. I don't know why, but they just don't have the best takedown defense. So that's still a concern with Sahota. 50-50 fight from There Will Be Blood. I agree. I mean, I believe he's of Indian descent, but I think he lives now in England. Why they got a British guy? Because he's still Indian. And my guy Jubilee kind of dropped the ball there for the nation. Jubilee's fighting. Who's he fighting now? From the Contender Series, Salkilled. That's honestly, they're gonna make Salkilled like -500, and I'm gonna have a bet on Jubilee. I'll tell you guys right now, skill for skill, I think they're close. I still think Jubilee is talented. He's just dropped the ball, and apparently he's terrified of dogs. So as long as Salkilled doesn't come out there barking, might be a close fight, and I'm looking forward to that one. And the return of my guy Jubilee and my worst ever max bet. Let's see. British Gamer asking me if I'm going to watch the card. Man, being honest, probably not. I'm a super fan. I'm a hardcore. I'm all those things. But another thing I am is I need my sleep. I like to sleep, and I like to sleep for a long time. It starts at 3, though, and I kind of go to sleep late on the weekends. So I might be up, but I'll probably fall asleep halfway through the card if I'm being real with myself. Big Bird, Couch Warrior will be there in person, cornering to me. Man, if he told me that I can go corner him, I'd pull up. I love the dude. He has a fan in me for sure. Aussie fight fan, thanks for tuning in, brother, and thank you on the congratulations. Tower saying, let's see, one thing Soda does, I see Choi Kavanagh, he drops his head, lead hand cleared down by his hips when he throws his scars. Yeah, he keeps his hands low sometimes, and overall, he's got the tall man's defense. I mean, at a certain point, you can't really help it, and I agree with you. I am a little concerned about that, and Choi does hit hard. But like I said, it's so hard to get a proper read on Sahota's chin because on one side he's getting hurt, but he's recovering well. And then on the other side, he's getting hurt. So I don't know where to really put his chin. But all right, we can move on. And there will be blood saying Kiru's reach is crazy. Yeah, he's going to be much, much bigger here. So that is something to consider. I think people who played Sahota like plus 135 made a good bet. But at the current line, it's probably Choi or pass now. I don't know. Probably best to just pass. All right. Next up, we've got Su Young Yu versus Balgyn Jenisuly. Okay, we're gonna call him Jenny. So we got Yu versus Jenny. Yu is 13-3-0. He's 28 years old, 5'6" with a 65-inch reach. Jenny is 19-5-0. He's 28 as well. He's 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. I have zero idea what to make of this fight. I taped it. I did the work. I can't get a read on these guys. Yu is pretty good, and he's very one-dimensional. He's a good grappler. He's a good wrestler. He had an insane back take in his last fight. Clearly a great grappler, solid counter grappler, but he doesn't do much on the feet at all. So going into this, I remembered that, and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't remember Jenny that much. You know, I remember him being a wrestler also, but if he's a better striker, then at underdog odds as the bigger guy, he's the play. But then I taped it, and he also has nothing to offer on the feet. Neither guy's a good striker. And if I had to pick, I honestly kind of lean Yu because his striking seems a little bit better. But both guys don't throw much on the feet. Both guys are hittable. Both guys have really low output. And I just don't think we're going to be on the feet much at all. And then in the grappling, both guys can be taken down, but they're pretty good counter grapplers. I think Yu will have more success, but Jenny's also going to be a lot bigger, and I think he's a little bit stronger. At least he seems stronger. So he might make Yu's life a little bit difficult. And Yu's got pretty good counter grappling in his own right. So I think it's going to be a little bit harder for Jenny to take him down than it will be for Yu to take down Jenny. But yeah, I'm all over the place, as you guys could tell. Breaking it down, so striking, I'll lean Yu, but I honestly don't think either guy has an advantage. I'd call it just a wash. Grappling, close, I lean Yu. Cardio, both guys have pretty good cardio. I don't really know what to make of the fight. I think the line is a little bit. I think the line's about accurate. What's it at? -145 Yu, +125 Jenny. It makes sense because I agree with what Pierce is saying here, that he's more positionally sound. He thinks there's levels on the mat. Yu does seem like a really nice, really clean grappler. It's not like super dangerous. It's not really subbing a ton of guys, but yeah, I just think this is going to be an absolute scramble fest. That's what I see. Both guys throwing bombs on the feet and not really landing because they're not good strikers, then diving for takedowns, and then just scramble. Honestly, the only way I kind of want to play this is I would play fight goes. That I would do. It's -150. It's a little bit chalky, but really, who's going to finish the other, you know? Is either guy going to get a knockout? I would be shocked. Maybe not shocked, it's MMA, but I would be surprised if either guy got a knockout. I just don't see it. And then if anyone gets a sub, it's Yu. And maybe Pierce is right, and it'll be a levels fight, and he takes Jenny down, is able to take his back and finish him, maybe. But I don't really think he's going to sub him. I think it's just going to be a really close, grappling heavy fight, and maybe Yu edges it out because he's a cleaner grappler. So, yeah, I do like that fight goes at -150 because then I don't have to worry about picking a side. I just have to sweat it not finishing, which is also stressful. But I think personally, I think that's the way to do it here. Let me look at what the props are. Yu sub is +475. It's not bad. But I don't really think he's going to get it. Yeah, fight goes or pass for me on this one. Let's see. Draw. I mean, if they scored 10, like if they did 10-10 rounds or 9-9, I think it's 10-10. If they actually did that, then maybe this could be a draw. But because I don't really see either guy getting a 10-8, I don't think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be a decision. I lean Yu, but I rather just bet fight goes. Let's see what we got going on here. There will be blood asking Big Bird on his take for Muslim Ponzi. We'll be talking about that one soon. All right. Let's move on, though. Next up, we've got, this is not a championship bout for Road to UFC, but Zhang is coming off of Road to UFC. Well, he was coming off. He fought Brenton Ribeiro already in the UFC. Now we have Ozzy Diaz versus Mingyang Zhang. Diaz is 9-2-0. He's 34 years old, 6'4" with a 75-inch reach. Zhang, 17-6-0. He's 26, so he's 8 years younger, 2 inches shorter, and they're going to have the same reach. My guy Cody in the chat, what's up, brother? Make sure you guys are checking out Cody and his channel. Sharp guy, and he's doing a great show now with Wager Wars, I believe is the name, where he's bringing on cappers and they're going head-to-head. And I got to make my appearance already, and eventually I will. Just got to make the schedules work. Make sure you're checking him out, though. All right, so for this fight, it's another one. It's hard to be confident in a lot of these fights. I don't like the line. I don't like it at all. I don't really see how you rationalize Zhang at -300 or so. What is it? -3 something? Yeah, -300 on the dot now. I don't know how you rationalize that, because maybe you guys could tell me in the chat, where is Zhang so much better? Like, where? Is he that much better of a striker? I don't think so. What does he do that's that special in the striking? They're both solid strikers. Zhang's maybe a little bit faster. I'll give him that. And he definitely hits harder. But at range, it's not like he, you never see the guy really jabbing, 1-2ing. Like, there's no real straight strikes from the guy. He'll occasionally throw a jab and then he'll just go hooks, 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 hooks. In the pocket, he's dangerous as hell. But at range, he's not doing a ton. So I'm thinking, if Ozzy comes in here and he starts just circling, just keep the lateral movement. And he doesn't do that often. So you're kind of asking him to do something that's not really in his game. He also is a guy who moves forward. He's a forward pressure guy. But if he doesn't, if he does forward pressure, he might get himself knocked out. But if he fights smart and just moves laterally and makes Zhang chase him, Zhang's not really going to get an opportunity to do what he does best, which is trade in the pocket. And then I think Ozzy can outstrike him, because at range, I kind of lean Ozzy. I think he's a little bit better at range. I like his jab. I like his combinations. He's smart in his fight against Bevon Lewis. You hear the commentary saying, he should ditch the 1-2 and go jab uppercut. That's exactly what he does, and that's how he ends up finishing the fight, with the uppercut after the jab. So he mixes it up well, and I just think he's the better striker at range. I think that it's kind of a guess, but I kind of feel like he's going to throw more too. And then where else do you give Zhang an edge outside of power then? And maybe speed? Cardio? No. We don't know anything about his cardio, really. He hasn't been out of the first round in 13 fights. Since 2018, he hasn't been out of the first round, Zhang. Diaz has never been to a decision. I don't think he's even left round 2, but at least he's made it to round 2 recently, twice in a row. With Zhang, he just... not in a row. I think he finished Campo in the first round, I think. End of the first, if I'm not mistaken. Pfeiffer was a round 2 loss, and then he won against Bevon in the second round. But it's not like in the cardio, I kind of lean Diaz. I don't have a ton of information on either guy's cardio, but I just lean that way from what I've seen. And then neither guy's in a grapple. Neither of them really shoots. Neither of them has great takedown defense. Both can be taken down, but I just don't expect either to wrestle. So I don't understand how you get to Zhang -300. I can't understand it. I think he's the rightful favorite, because I think he's faster and more powerful, and he's younger, so you can maybe expect some more improvements from him. But outside of that, I just don't understand. I'm not really dying to play Ozzy either. Like, he's solid, but he's pretty hittable, and I wouldn't be shocked if he got knocked out. But the line definitely seems wide. It definitely seems wide. I don't think I'll play it. Probably not. But maybe it might be a good live entry. If Zhang doesn't get that knockout in like the first 2 minutes or so, I think it might be a good entry point for Diaz. If they make it out of the first round, certainly I might hop onto Diaz. I mean, it depends how the round goes, but if he loses the first, I would bet him then live. I think that might be a better way to do it. See if he can survive the most dangerous part of Zhang, which is round 1. See if he's fighting smart, if he's trading in the pocket, or if he's trying to maintain his distance, maintain his range, and then decide from there if you want to make the live bet or not. I think that the value is certainly on Ozzy. I do not understand the line, but I'm not dying to play him personally. All right, moving on. All right, now we got the good fight. We got Volkan Oezdemir versus Carlos Ulberg. Oezdemir is 27-0. He's 35. He's 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. Ulberg 10-1-0. He's 34. He's 1 year younger. Going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. So I like Ulberg here. I don't think I'll bet him. You know, I wouldn't be that against him as a parlay piece personally. I know it's a big step up, but I feel like he's going to be a lot faster than Oezdemir. I feel like he's going to be much cleaner on the feet. And I just think that he's a much better striker, and I think he has the takedown defense to defend from Oezdemir. Oezdemir doesn't really wrestle. We've seen him go to it most recently against Balgyn because he didn't really like what was coming his way, so he just took him down and choked him out. And maybe he can take down Ulberg. We haven't seen Ulberg's takedown defense tested all that much, but I do like Ulberg overall. I think that if he can keep it on the feet, he's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the younger guy. He's going to be the faster guy for sure. And in my opinion, the much cleaner striker. Oezdemir, great jab, but everything else kind of has a loop to it, a little bit of a loop. He's fought the much better competition, sure, but Ulberg's been handling business recently, and I think he can handle this step up. You know, sometimes guys aren't ready. I think Ulberg's ready, and personally, I would love to see him versus Pereira in 2025. I think that would be a really, really fun fight, and I think he's one of the few guys that I could see maybe giving Pereira some issues. But yeah, for me, it's Ulberg or pass. I'm not really dying to play Oezdemir. I know that the line seems too much because it's a big step up for Ulberg, but I still think it's fine. Personally, I think it's fine. I do think he's going to win this fight. Maybe he makes a mistake like he did in the Kennedy fight and just leaves it all out there too early, but it seems to me like he's fighting much smarter now. So, and the cardio looks pretty good. He got that late finish against Zhang. So I think he can pull this off. I don't think he's going to finish Oezdemir. I think we're probably going to go to a decision. Those props are kind of interesting. It's fight goes is plus 155, over 1.5 is minus 185. I wouldn't play the over 1.5 at chalk just because like it is 205 and they both do hit hard, and Ulberg's a sniper and he's really fast. So even though Oezdemir's durable, I could see Ulberg getting a finish. So I wouldn't play the chalk, but fight goes a plus 155 is kind of interesting. That might be a decent play, honestly. I'm going to think about that one a little bit. I know that Ulberg's been getting finishes lately, but this is a big step up. Like, this is not Zhang or Alonzo Menefield or Igor, my GOAT, Igor Bateria, or Nikolai Negamarianu or Tafana Chukwi. This is a very big step up from all those guys. So, yeah. Tough fight for Ulberg, but I think he's going to pass the test, and minus 240 makes sense to me. I don't think there's much value personally, but I would still possibly parlay it, to be honest. There's not really many parlay legs here, so I don't even know what you would put it together with. Because, like, from the fights we've gone through so far, definitely not parlaying Maheshate, certainly not parlaying the Long Lee fight, not parlaying Kavanagh, not parlaying Hernandez, that's for sure. Not parlaying Feng, that's for sure. Not parlaying anybody in the Sahota Choi fight. And definitely not parlaying anybody in the huge Jailesi fight. So, and definitely not parlaying Zhang. So, yeah, I don't hate Ulberg as a parlay piece, but I don't even know what you would put him with. And we can move on. Next up, we've got Quang versus Gabriela Hernandez. Quang 6-0 undefeated, 32 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. On the other side, Hernandez 9-3-0. She's 31, so she's 1 year younger. She's going to be the same height, and she's going to have the same reach. So this is another fight that I need to tape still. I didn't get to tape this one yet. Kind of left it for last because I don't think I'm going to play anything, just seeing the lines. And I know them both pretty well. I'm pretty familiar with both of them. So Quang's been a menace for the most part. I mean, she didn't finish, what's her name? Wu Yanan in their fight. So I don't know if I'd call her a complete menace. But in the last fight against Leonardo, who's relatively durable, I mean, she just cooked her. She completely cooked her. She's a fantastic striker. She's got a ton of power. She's fast. She mixes it up really nicely, mixes targets really well. I don't remember the takedown defense that much, so I do need to tape still, like I said, but it's not like Hernandez really wrestles. I know she got the 2 takedowns against Judas, but I don't necessarily think she's really going to come out here with the wrestling heavy game plan, and I don't really think she's going to take down Cong too much, if at all. And then on the Fernandez side, she's also a solid striker in her own right. She's not on the level of Wang. She doesn't hit as hard as Wang, but her output is pretty good. She's not as clean and technical, but she's going to throw a lot. We can trust her to do that. She seems pretty durable, but what I don't like is she is really hittable. Judas is talented, but incredibly green. And Judas landed what, like 140 significant strikes on this lady. She's really hittable. And if Judas can land that much, so can Cong. Cong maybe won't throw that much. She's not super high output, but that makes me start to think maybe Kong's going to knock her out, because if Fernandez is durable, but if she's so hittable, and Cong is a menace, she does hit really hard and she is really clean, the KO is probably live. The KO is probably live. And I was looking at it earlier today. I think it was like plus 250, I think, on the Wang knockout. Yeah, it's plus 250 on the Wang knockout. Fight ends ITD is plus 110. So I'd rather just take the knockout because I don't really think Fernandez is going to finish Wang. I'd be pretty surprised. So if I play anything, it'll probably be just Cong Wang knockout, put like a half unit on it and call it a day. Maybe something like that. But that's it. I got to tape that one still, like I said, guys. Moving on. Next up, we've got Kenan Song versus Muslim Sawakov. Song is 22-8-0. He's 34 years old. 6 feet tall with a 71-inch reach. On the other side, Sawakov, 25-0. He's 40 years old. So he's 6 years older. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to be at a 1.5-inch reach disadvantage. So I hate this fight. If the Song Kenan Ricky Glenn fight didn't happen last, I think I might have been interested on Song at this price. But I mean, he looked horrible. Song looked horrible against Ricky Glenn. I know he won, and I had him there. I laid the chalk on him. I think like a majority of us did. He looked so bad. He looked slow, hittable, no urgency. Just did not look good at all. It was just super unimpressive. He's a good striker. He's got power. He can grapple okay. Takedown defense is relatively solid. But I did not like what I saw. And I know that Salakov's old. I know that he's quote unquote washed. But like, I just hate this. I hate this fight. I hate this fight in general. I did have him in the Ponzi fight, though, Salakov. That was a nice cash. And he was a big underdog there, though. I don't know. On the feet, Song will probably throw more. Salakov, historically low volume. But, like, Song didn't throw that much in the Ricky Glenn fight, and he has a lot of fights where he's very low output. So it's not like I can even trust him to do that. I like his hands a little bit more than Salakov's because Salakov just doesn't use the hands that much. He's usually just kicking a lot. But when he does throw the hands, I actually do like it. So I'll give the striking to Salakov. I'll give the power to Salakov, even though Song's got some pop in his punch too. He just doesn't have the urgency. And then the grappling will go to Salakov too. He doesn't really do it often, but he's definitely the better offensive grappler. And his takedown defense is solid. I don't really see Song coming out here and out grappling Salakov. So I like Salakov to win. Do I want to lay minus 200 on him when he's 40 years old and definitely on a downtrend? No, I do not. And I can understand people playing Song, but I don't think I can ever bet him. I know I can't ever bet him again after the Ricky Glenn fight unless it's like an outrageous line in a different fight. Because I remember watching that fight and I told myself, no, we're not doing this anymore. Definitely not a chalk. He's not chalk this time, but I still don't really want to do it. I feel like Muslim should be able to win this fight. She's a cleaner striker, better striker, more powerful. Low output, that's the only real concern for me. And he has the grappling advantage. So I guess like he does slow down sometimes, and his pace isn't very high, but again, you just don't know really what you're going to get with Song. Sometimes he comes out here and he does do a lot, but other times he's just I think the Ricky Gunn fight is just stuck in my head. So maybe it's recency bias, and maybe he comes out and he looks great here and he puts on a really competitive performance, but I'm not going to back it with my money. I think Salkov probably wins, but I'm good on this fight. What are the totals? Over 2.5 is minus 160. Under 2.5 is plus 130. I kind of lean under because I think both can get a knockout, but I'm not really dying to play it at plus 130. All right, let's move on. Next up, we've got the co-main event, and it's a good fight. We got Yan Xiaonan versus Tabitha Ricci. Yan is 18-4-0. She's 35 years old. She's 5'5" with a 63-inch reach. Ricci 11-2-0. She's 29, so she's 6 years younger. Going to be 4 inches shorter, and she's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. Interesting fight. I'm pretty surprised by the line, personally. I understand that Yan, she's fought the much better competition. Ricci doesn't look that amazing when she can't take people down. And Yan should be the much better striker. She definitely is the one with more power. I think if anyone's getting a knockout, I don't think anyone is, but if anyone's going to, it's probably Yan. She's clean striking, nice, clean down the pipe, really good combinations. Output is great. She's a really, really good striker, and her takedown defense is okay. Like, it's not terrible. The takedown defense isn't terrible. The bigger issue is that she's just kind of lost on the mat. Like, once she's actually taken down, she's pretty lost. And Ricci, her striking's not terrible. She's a pretty good boxer in her own right, but she's very meat and potatoes. Like, it's easy to kind of predict what's coming from her. And I think she might struggle with the range a little bit because she's really small and she's got a 61-inch reach. I know that Jan's only got 2 inches reach on her, but she's going to be a lot bigger. And I just think Ricci's going to struggle a little bit at range. But if Ricci can mix in the takedowns, I don't really see how you can be that comfortable with Yan. You know, if Ricci's coming out here and getting the take, she's a good wrestler. I know that she's primarily a jiu-jitsu girl. That's her base, and she's a really good grappler. But the offensive wrestling is pretty good too, and I could see her getting the takedowns here. I know that she's small, but Esparza is also 5'1", and we saw what she did to Yan. I know that she's a much more tested fighter. I get it. But Ricci's on the come up. She's young. She's improving still. And I just think the line is too wide. I think it's too wide. I don't really like laying the chalk on Yan here. Personally, for me, it's probably dog or pass. That's what I think. I think it's dog or pass. I'd like plus 170 Ricci, and I think there's going to be a lot of steam coming in on Yan. As my friend Evan says, steam chasing. I think it's going to happen here. People like Yan. People are high on her. I'm high on her. I like Yan too. But I think this line is too wide when she does still have a big grappling hole, in my opinion. I do think the takedown defense is pretty good. My bigger issue is what happens once she's on the ground. And if Ricci can get it there, I think she's very live. So I'll wait. I'm in no rush. I'm going to be absolutely okay if I don't have a bet on this fight. But if they give me something crazy on Ricci, because just based off of the line movement we've been seeing recently, I kind of think she's going to blow up to like plus 250 by fight night. Honestly, I feel like that might happen. I would be tempted to bet her at plus 200, but I'm just going to wait because I don't see a ton of people hype on Ricci here. And I see a lot of people really excited about Yan here. Hometown advantage, much better striker, faster, power edge. I totally get it. But at the end of the day, if you're going to give me a big underdog who has the grappling advantage, and I know that for certain, I'm going to be pretty tempted on the underdog, and that's what I have here. I'm pretty tempted on Ricci. I'm not like dying to bet her, but yeah. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Let's see. There will be blood saying hometown girl, max bet. Yeah, I guess you can understand it. I could understand it. I don't know about a max bet, but to each their own, my brother. Yan off a title loss fight cannot be a max bet. Yeah, I think there's like some kind of stat there that they just don't win often after their first title fight. But I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. Let's see. Dad's saying he's going to wait till fight day to... Yeah, I'm learning that with underdogs, at least this year, it's like it pays to wait most of the time. Sometimes, yeah, you'll lose the line, but most of the time, there's been a lot of steam chasing. People just wait till the last moment, see who's a favorite, and then parlay them. And then you get nicer prices. That's bad. I think there will be blood saying that she won't get the takedowns she wants. It's possible. Like I said, Jan has good, you can call it first layer takedown defense. She has good takedown defense at first, but once she's on the mat is where the issue is. And I think Ricci could get her down there, and then she can get stuck. And then what? You have your max bet, and you were right about the striking. You were right about the speed. She's a hometown girl, but if she's getting out grappled, it's not going to be good. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But we can move on to our main event. One of my favorite fighters, and his career has been unfortunate, but there's still hope. All right, we got Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Yan is 17-5-0. He's 31 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. Figgy on the other side, he's 24-3-1. He's 36, so he's going to be 5 years older. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. So it's interesting to see Yan actually being the taller guy for once. I don't think that's happened since the Dodson fight. But this is a funky one for me. I lean Yan. I'm very biased towards him, but I think I could put my bias aside with him these days because he just hasn't been that amazing recently. His last fight against blanking on his name, Song, that was a good performance, but he showed the same issue. Yan is an elite fighter. He's a phenomenal striker. I still think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Forget about the bantamweight division. I think he's one of the best in the UFC. Really clean striking, really clean counters, really good timing, very fast, mixes to the body really nicely. Amazing counter grappler, really good takedown defense, good wrestling in his own right. It's a really, really good fighter who just starts way too slow. And that's why he's losing these fights. He just waits too long to get started, and he starts to lose fights. And literally, like his second fight with Sterling, it all depended on the first round, and he lost it because Sterling threw a few more strikes. It's just like he needs to get those reads a little bit faster. He's still only 31 years old. Like, he can make another run. I think it's going to be harder this time because his run to the title last time, like through Aldo, was much easier than now having to go through Merab or Umar or both. Because I think he can beat Sean. I don't think he can beat Umar personally, and I don't know if he's going to beat Merab in a rematch. So tougher this time around, but he's still young, relatively young, 31. It's just, that's my only issue with him, is he starts slow. And now this is a 5-rounder, so that's good. He will have time to get those reads, put it together, and he'll probably come on late like he always does. And that I do think he's going to win the fight. But Figgy's going to make this tough. Figgy's been looking good on 135. His striking is on point. Solid striking. Not as clean as Yan, but he's got power. Maybe even hits a little bit harder than Yan. And just all around pretty good striking. He's just a little bit loopy. So I think Jan's going to reach the target faster, do it more accurately. But I think Deiveson can keep it competitive standing. And then with the grappling, he's a good offensive wrestler. He's got great jiu-jitsu. I don't think Jan's going to be easy to take down. I think maybe Figgy could get a few takedowns, but I don't think he's going to be able to do a ton with it. I think Jan's pretty defensively sound on the ground in the grappling. And I think overall he should be able to keep it on the feet. I think there's clear value on Figgy at like, what is it, plus 250? Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious that there's the value on him, but it doesn't really make me want to play him still. I know that there's value, but I still kind of feel like he loses, and it's just like, I don't want to bet on it. And like, I know that I constantly bet underdogs that I pick against, but there's certain spots where I'm just like not feeling it, and I'm not feeling Figgy here. I do think there's value. Can't hate on anybody playing him at plus 250, but it's not really a play for me. I think Jan's going to pull it off. I think Jan's going to be able to win. And I think the best way to play it, rather than picking a side or having to do like Jan decision or 4-5 decision, which are decent bets, I think just play fight goes. Minus 150. I got minus 136 this morning on Bet Rivers. No, not Bet Rivers. It was FanDuel, I think. Let me check. Yeah, FanDuel. Minus 136. If you can still get that line, I think that's a great line. Much better than picking a side. Because I just think it's going to be a close competitive fight where Yan is the cleaner fighter, can keep it on the feet. Figgy might have bigger moments. Maybe he can seal some rounds with bigger moments, maybe some time on the ground. And I just don't see a finish on either side. I know that Figgy can maybe hurt Jan, and maybe Jan can hurt Figgy too. We've seen Figgy hurt plenty of times at flyweight. Seems more durable now, but he hasn't really been tested in the durability department either in so far in his run in bantamweight. So yeah, both guys durable. Don't really see a finish. Think Jan wins, but I think the best way to do it is just play fight goes at whatever you can get it at. I think minus 150 is about as far as I would go. But I think you can get better lines if you shop around a little bit or wait for more books to open up. I know FanDuel has it already open, and that's what I played, but maybe other books will give you something even better. Probably not, but we'll see. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Let's see. Figgy might hurt him. Yeah, he could hurt him for sure. I do think the line's nuts. Why is the line crazy? I don't know. There will be blood. Honestly, I can't tell you why it's minus 300. I was pretty surprised myself. I thought it was going to be a closely lined fight because Figgy's on a run since he got to 135. And Jan's 1-4, 1-3 in his last 4 fights, 2-3 in his last 5. But he has been fighting really elite competition. So, yeah. I don't know why it's that wide. Let's see. Tower saying, I imagine Figgy sits him down at least once in this fight. Yeah. I don't know about at least once, but I think he can do it. Smells like some BS. Yeah, maybe. Yan just signed a 4-fight contract. I did see that. I don't know if it's a small or big cage. I think the small cage is only at the Apex, if I'm not mistaken, but I also don't know if we've ever been to Macau for a card, so I don't know what the situation is over there. I would imagine they're going to use the big octagon, but I don't know. And Daz saying Figgy's a little more physical, maybe. Yeah, I could see it. Even though he's the one who's coming up from flyweight, he definitely filled in. He seems at home in the division. But all right, guys, that's it. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I'll run through the picks one more time. I'll let you know the only 2 bets I have one more time, and then we'll hop on out of here. In terms of content, I will be with the guys. I believe their show is called Beat the Line Broadcast, I think. Going to be doing that tomorrow, 7:30. It's Dravi, Pegasus, and Key 3, all really dope dudes. I'm looking forward to talking about the card with them. And then my own shorts will be dropping probably Thursday because I have their show tomorrow and I got to record some of my other stuff that I've been putting out now. So shorts will probably be Thursday this week. But if you like the shorter videos, the 1-minute videos, check those out. If you're new here, please understand, I need to figure out somehow to get a warning message into these shorts because I am not sitting around with people telling me that I'm giving out one pick and then betting the other. It's just a pick. That's what the shorts are for. Okay. If you're new here, my YouTube shorts are not bets unless I say so. I will always say so when I bet it. Otherwise, I'm just making a pick and a prediction. It doesn't mean I'm betting them. And then often I will bet against them if the line is wide enough and I think there's value. But please keep that in mind. Just because I made a pick on a video does not mean that I'm betting. Picks and bets are 2 different things. Like I said in the beginning of this video, if you want to be educated on it, I'm not the person for it. There's people much smarter than me who can explain it much better for you. Just do some research on YouTube. I'm sure you can find some great videos about it. But all right, let's run through the picks one more time. Maheshate, dog or pass though. Long Xiao, dog or pass though. Kavanagh, dog or pass, and I did play Ochoa. That's the first bet out of 2. Hernandez, but dog or pass. Feng, need to tape that one still. Choi or pass, I think, in the Sahota fight at the current line. But it's fight goes or pass for me there. Zhang, but dog or pass. Ulberg or pass for me. I like him as a favorite. Kong Wang, Hernandez, I still need to tape that one. Lean Wang, but there's not much meat on the bone at minus 800 or whatever it is. Sawakov, but complete pass. I don't want to bet either guy. I'll pick Jan, but it's dog or pass for me again with Ricci. And look at me. I sound like Big Steve right now. And then Petr Yan, but for me, it's just fight goes as the bet there. That's my second and only other bet in this card. And let's see what we got here in the chat. Kiwi Brew, it's a caged roulette wheel. Okay, what's up, Kiwi? Steve saying hi, and And I late for the juicy parlays. Are you late for the juicy parlays? I don't think you're going to get one this week, my brother. He's roasting me, by the way. He does not want my juicy parlays. But if I had to parlay something, like I said, Ulberg with something, but I don't know with what. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, you're one to talk. You're one to talk. You go on any of Steve's videos and literally 90% of the comments are, why are you always passing and why aren't you betting anything? It's like the dude's whole show. But all right, guys, that's it. Thank you all for tuning in. Good luck this weekend. Peace out and good luck.